Today, we're chatting with one of my good friends, Mallory Whitfield, aka Miss Malaprop. She's a creative entrepreneur in so many different ways, but she's decided to go a different route. She's gonna show us how to manage the side hustle with the full-time gig. All right, hey, I'm so happy to have Mallory Whitfield, aka Miss Malaprop, with me today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Skype is always so funny, right?
Yeah, Skype is weird because you're on the other side of town right now. So we could just be doing this face to face.
Right? It's weird.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy to have you here because you have done something that I think is really hard to do. You've been able to balance a full-time job while also being a prolific creative entrepreneur. And I think that's something that's really special and important for our audience. Can you tell them a little bit about what you do?
Yeah. So my name is Mallory Whitfield. I can't remember if you said that already. And I've been blogging as Miss Malaprop online for 10 years now. I started that site blogs on LiveJournal and stuff before that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been running my own blog for the last 10 years. And through the course of that, I also had an e-commerce shop for a while. And I did craft shows and art markets around town for quite a few years too. And through the course of all that, I was working various part-time jobs on the side. I worked for the Louisiana State for a while. And then I worked for Trashy Diva, which is a local clothing company based here in New Orleans.
Ooh, Trashy Diva.
Yeah, Trashy Diva. So basically, my goal for a really long time was to open a brick and mortar retail store for handmade goods. So that's what my e-commerce site was about. That's kind of where I started the blog from, was to promote artists who were making handmade products.
Yeah.
And then along the way, working in retail, doing craft shows, day in and day out for many years, I realized that that's not what I wanted anymore. So a couple of years ago, probably like late 2013, I kind of had all of this realization, which is a local job posting site here in New Orleans. And I saw a position for a company called FSC Interactive, which I had met with some of the owners and people there before when I was working on a local conference here in town. I pulled them in for a panel there. And it was for a position in search engine optimization. It was part-time, and I looked over all of the job requirements and realized I know how to do all this stuff because I taught myself how to do it through all these years of blogging. Like, I have no formal training in any of this stuff, but I applied for the position, got it, and very quickly it escalated to a full-time job. It was only part-time for like 3 or 4 months before I was there full-time. So I've been at FSC since like beginning of 2014, basically.
Okay.
And in those last couple of years, I've grown even more in in knowledge for what I do for the clients there at FSC, and I've been able to like take that knowledge back and improve my own blog.
Yeah.
So I don't have a ton of time to post regularly, new posts anymore, but I take the old posts that I have on my site that have been there for a few years, and I've been able to what I call upcycle them.
Okay.
And make them even better. So I have that bringing up on the side.
All right. We're going to talk about upcycling posts a little bit later, but I want to dive deeper into, you do a lot of different things. So first you explained how you work at FSC and you have this day job that's directly related to SEO optimization, search engine optimization. Yeah. That word is like my mouth won't say it.
It's a lot.
But you've been active in so many different things. You're a public speaker. You teach you teach a in real life class.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about those two things.
So I did a lot of theater growing up. So I've always kind of been comfortable being on stage, even though I, like you, Justin, am also an introvert.
Yes.
But
introvert.
I'm like less good like one-on-one because I'm really bad at small talk. So if you meet me at VenturePOP and I don't know what to talk about, ask me about search engine optimization or something really nerdy and I'll know what to talk about. But I'm really comfortable like being on stage in front of large groups of people. So I've also realized that I enjoy teaching. I kind of fought it for a really long time. I was in this group called the New Orleans Craft Mafia for, we would do art markets and stuff around town. And a lot of the members were always like, you should teach people what you know. And I was like, I don't want to teach. And over the last few years, I've realized I totally enjoy teaching and I think I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
So FSC actually helped with that too, because when I started there, we had a program called Empowerment that was teaching small business owners the basics of digital marketing and social media and SEO. And I kind of got pulled in to do that piece. And through that, I got really comfortable explaining things very simply to small business owners on like how to do all these things themselves. And we've since, we don't do that program anymore. We're focusing on bigger national clients, but I really enjoy it. So that's what I've been spending a lot of my personal Miss Malaprop time doing. I recently, I've been teaching a 3-week DIY SEO boot camp this summer here in New Orleans.
How's it been going?
It's been going good. Tomorrow night is actually the last class. I'm actually speaking at a conference called iRetreat, which is a blog conference here. I'm speaking at that tomorrow. And then tomorrow night, I'm holding my last DIY SEO boot camp class.
Oh my gosh, busy day, huh?
So hopefully I'll turn that into some sort of online workshop. I kind of wanted to workshop it in person first to make sure that all the material makes sense to people. So.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Your story is so intriguing to me for a number of reasons. The biggest one, though, is that being a self-taught SEO specialist is a big deal in and of itself. And you took a path to invest in your own talent, to learn these things, and then you were fortunate enough to find a job that kind of fit exactly the skill that you had kind of organically learned. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky, but I don't know if it's that uncommon, honestly, because I graduated in 2004, and most of the stuff that I do at my day job, like you couldn't have majored in when I went to school.
Yeah.
And one of my coworkers, Mike, he recently got promoted to the director of the search department. He kind of comes from a similar background. He had a coffee blog that he wrote, and he actually sold that blog at one point, and now he has a few other side projects of his own in addition to a day job and a very small toddler that's adorable. But he kind of comes from that similar background of like figuring out on his own while he had like a day job, and I think that helped because I think he and I both come to the table with ideas that we wouldn't think of if we were only doing stuff for our clients. If we didn't have a piece on the web that we were invested in making better because we wanted it to be better for us.
Yeah. Having your own project, it teaches you so much and it's so useful.
Yeah. Well, and I always call it a sandbox because I feel like if there's something weird that I'm afraid to test for a client, I'll test it on my own site. I don't care. I might break it. I accidentally deleted the entire contents of my website in like 2012.
Oh my God. That's like my biggest nightmare.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing is like, I've learned all of these things the hard way.
Yeah.
So that now I know either if I'm teaching people like at the DIY SEO bootcamp, I'll share those stories so that hopefully they can learn from my more about our clients at FSC too, because I don't want to see that bad stuff happen to them because it's happened to me. It really sucks.
Oof. Just thinking about losing my site is just like I'm having a baby panic attack right now. So like, oof.
So this is why you have hosting companies that do automatic guaranteed backups because my old hosting company not.
Wow.
So
I want to dive right into 3 incredible ideas that our VenturePOP users can use directly in their business. We want to give them some sort of tangible takeaway so that they can help grow their companies.
Okay, so I have this post. It's called the Content Upcycle Method, and it kind of explains a lot of the things that I've done with some of my own posts over the last few years. So one of the big things, I kind of touched on this, is that I don't have a lot of time to write new blog posts all the time because when I do, I tend to go really in depth. I tend to write like 1,200 posts. So one thing that I've been trying to do is find the old posts that people are still finding and going to. I use Google Analytics to kind of see what my top content is.
Yes.
Because a lot of times it's not the brand new post that I just wrote, a month or so ago. It's like some post I wrote 3 years ago or whatever. Yeah. Like that's still really popular. So instead of taking the time to write a whole new post, I'd rather upcycle that old content, go back, check it for accuracy, make sure that nothing needs to be updated, and also just make it even better. Looking at it fresh for a second time when I haven't looked at it in a while, I can usually think, oh, there's this other tidbit I can share, or there's this product I can link to. Because some of the posts that I have are affiliate posts that are promoting products. They're like gift guides, and then some of them are more informational. I have a lot of different types of material on my site. I was actually in a Facebook group earlier today, and somebody was asking, they just started their blog in the last few months, and they were asking, they'd cut down from 5 blog posts a week to 3, and now they were contemplating cutting down to 2. And pretty much everybody else, I was the first person to jump on the thread, but everybody else was also like, girl, you don't have to post all the time. It's okay. I feel like a lot of bloggers freak out because they think they have to post once a day, and it's like, that's so 2008. You don't have to do that. It's okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually remember in 2008 being a blogger and feeling that I need to post 3 times a day, but now things are so different, and you're completely right. Once a week is plenty, but once a month actually works for a lot of people as well. Especially if they're those really good, meaty posts that you can dig into,
Yeah, totally. So one of my other things from that same post, especially if you're thinking about blogs.
So this is tip number 2?
This is tip number 2. This also ties into work, because I've been having this conversation about a lot of our websites that we write blogs for at work Pinterest is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people who come from the blogosphere and they're into recipe blogs or those sorts of things already understand this. But I think sometimes in the agency world, especially, this is where me being a blogger comes and helps, because Pinterest it's not a social media site in the way that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all that stuff. It works totally different. It's much more like SEO, which I think is why I really love it. It's a search engine, right? Yeah. It's a visual search engine, but it's a search engine. Actually, they just recently announced they're enhancing the visual search, where you're going to be able to take a photo of a chair and search it on Pinterest and find pictures of other chairs like that.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Or whatever the product is.
Yeah.
So it's totally a search engine. So it can drive traffic back to your website, because each one of those pins clicks through to something.
Yeah.
Right. So if your goal is to drive traffic back to your blog or an e-commerce site, for example, Pinterest is where it's at. You can't ignore it.
Yeah.
But you have to approach it in an entirely different way than Facebook or Instagram or all that stuff, because it's really about the size and the layout of the images, because they're tall, right? They're like this.
Yeah.
They're not like.
Yeah.
So it's creating images that will look really good on Pinterest. So whenever I'm going back and upcycling my old blog post, I'll try to create an image with Pinterest in mind for that post, as well as an image that I have in mind for Facebook and Twitter, since they're totally separate types of images.
Absolutely. That's a really, really good tip, to use a different image size for Facebook than you do for your Pinterest page. That's awesome. What have you had a post go viral on Pinterest?
Wait, have I had? Yeah, totally. Well, that's the thing, is a huge chunk, almost half of my traffic comes from Pinterest.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. And especially for my shopping guides, I have some that I wrote. I started another site a few years ago before I got the job at FSC. It was called Cool Stuff We Like, and it was really just a sandbox. It was I didn't tell anybody that it existed. I just was testing things both Pinterest and SEO.
Yeah.
I eventually merged some of the better pieces of content with Miss Malaprop last year, because two sites was too much for me on top of a day job.
Yes.
But I had a few blog posts, like Doctor Who gift guides, and that one is like one of my most popular pins. It's crazy. I bet if you search Doctor Who gifts right now on Pinterest, you can probably find some of the images that go along with that post because it's like,
Oh, that's incredible.
Pinterest is awesome.
I love it. I love it. So one more tip for our audience.
Okay. Then the last one that also ties into that, I think I talked some about it, would be thinking about who your audience is and where they're viewing your site from and really optimizing for that. So I redesigned my website. I spent like my Christmas break basically redesigning my website because I'd been using this really old theme and I hadn't done anything with it in a while. And what I noticed was that in Google Analytics, most of my website visitors came from mobile devices, right? And so the old layout that I had didn't really perform great on mobile. It was okay, but it wasn't awesome. And if I want people to come on my site and find this like Doctor Who gift guide post, sorry, there's a dog barking on next door.
That's fine.
But if people are on Pinterest and they find this Doctor Who gift guide post and they click through and they're on their phone, I want them to be able to buy the products that I'm linking to that I make an affiliate commission on.
Yeah.
So I redesigned things both in terms of like how I lay out the individual posts and the overall layout and design of the blog. I really thought about like putting mobile first because that's where most of my customers are.
That's smart. And I'm sure that that's true for most people. We're kind of living in this age where everyone is taking out their phone and checking things on the fly like all the time.
Yeah.
I've seen a similar trend on my website and on the VenturePOP website.
Yeah, I mean, it varies. It's like, don't just like check your own stuff because we have a lot of business to business clients at FSC where that's not the case. If it's super like you're only dealing with people who are going to be in an office when they're looking at your website, you might be
for
okay.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think especially for blogs and stuff like that, it's really important to make it mobile friendly. And Google knows that that's really important too. I don't know if you heard about a thing called Mobile Get-In last year.
No.
Yeah, well, it wasn't officially called Mobile Get-In, but that's what everybody in the like SEO industry was calling it because
I love how everything
like
that's the worst thing possible is always getting at the end. Sorry
yeah,
to
basically,
interrupt.
Google like announced that they were gonna kind of change the way that they're ranking sites within searches from mobile devices, and they usually don't announce things ahead of time, but they actually gave people warning about this.
Yeah.
So they basically were like, it's mobile friendly, or if people search on a mobile device, it's not going to come up in the search results as well.
Yikes.
So Google cares.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, so what do you have coming up in the future? Do you have anything you want to tell our audience about?
Well, keep an eye out because I'm going to hopefully figure out a way to do some online workshops for the DIY SEO boot camp. Since the industry changes so fast, I want to kind of do it more like some sort of online workshop. So I've got to figure out the logistics of that. So if you know how to do that, if you're out there, tell me and email me. Okay. I also, this is really exciting. Okay, so I wrote this ebook like 2.5 or 3 years ago, just as an ebook that I did as a PDF on Etsy. It was actually kind of inspired by a bunch of different blog posts I had that I realized those were all my traffic was about craft shows because I had done craft shows forever. I have a bunch of different blog posts with ideas and tips. So I had merged them into an ebook, but I never got around into making them a print book.
Oh my gosh.
And like last weekend, I finally sat down and was like, I'm going to figure you out, create space.
Yeah.
So I reformatted my whole document and this is my proof. So I want to proofread it again and make sure but I'll be promoting this soon because it's been a few years since I originally released it. I'm excited that it's in a book.
That's incredible. And for those members of the audience that might not be familiar with CreateSpace is a really simple way to publish a book that you've written yourself, and it's straight through Amazon. So there's actually, your book will be in the Amazon store and you can sell it super, super easy.
Yeah, it was actually, it took me a day to just like reformat the Word document, but it was so much easier than I thought it would be. It was like time consuming, but I was like, why didn't I just do this 2 years ago?
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy for you. That's incredible. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
So how can our audience find you online?
Miss Malaprop, MISSMALAPROP.com.
Excellent.
You can probably just search my name too, and you'll find me, Mallory Whitfield.
Perfect. And one last question before we leave: what are you most looking forward to in VenturePOP 2016?
Tara Gentile.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's gonna be incredible.
Super excited. If y'all haven't heard her podcast, Profit Power Pursuit, you should totally listen to it because it's really good.
Yes, I completely agree. All right. Thank you so much, Mallory, for your time.
Thank you, Justin.
Bye-bye. VenturePOP is a 2-day conference designed to gather creatives with the guts and grit to grow their business. The event takes place September 17th and 18th at the incredible New Orleans Jazz Market. Purchasing a ticket for VenturePOP is more than an excuse for a lively weekend in New Orleans. It's an investment in you and your business. Expect 2 days of dynamic programming with top-notch speakers and networking with creative entrepreneurs just like you. Our goal is to help you build a sustainable creative business that intersects with your purpose. You can purchase tickets online at VenturePOPconference.com. We're looking forward to seeing you.